Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with another Total War Warhammer video. Today's topic are the possible legendary characters for a possible Dogs of War faction in Total War Warhammer. So without further ado, let's begin. The Dogs of War is a name given to various mercenary groups within the Warhammer fantasy world. These groups are made up of individuals from all races looking to earn some coin and seek their fortunes, while some others have simply found themselves expelled from their former homelands and have travelled to make a name for themselves somewhere else. Many of these warriors are famously known throughout the Warhammer world, having their services hired by many who might need some less honourable tactics. For the purpose of this video, we'll be looking at the possible legendary characters for a combined Dogs of War and Southern Realms race pack. Firstly, before we begin, we'll focus on the human characters, as those are the ones that make the most sense to be implemented, seeing as most likely this pack would include Tilea, Estalia and the Border Princes as playable locations. Secondly, any heroes that were featured as their own unit, for example Long John and his Slayer Pirates, will not be featured as characters in this video. Although if people would like a video where I would detail the regiments of renown which have these famous characters, that could also be possible. And lastly, due to the sheer amount of possible characters, we'll be splitting the series into various videos, each set into the respective countries. Today we'll focus on Tilea, so let's not waste any more time. Firstly, we have Borgio the Besieger, a master at siege warfare unsurpassed by many. It is through Borgio that the Principality of Miragliano established itself as the most powerful in Tilea. No walls were too high, no gates too thick. Any who hid themselves behind battlements quickly found out the error of their ways, as Borgio and his armies laid siege to their cities. Given his special items and rules in the 5th edition Dogs of War army book, they could easily be translated into Total War Warhammer. The monstrous mask helm would grant him fear upon unlocking the item. The Mace of Might could potentially increase personal damage done to gates, so that he may hit gates with the strength of a cannonball. And finally, the Armour of Brazen Bronze, which would provide a large bonus to armour and reduced physical damage. His difficult to slay rule gave him a great save value in the tabletop, but I imagine that this would allow him to return to battle after being killed on the field faster than normal, maybe as a reduction of a turn or two. As per his status as a lord known for siege warfare, it could be assumed that his special traits would be as follows. His army would have the siege attacker trait and more than likely be able to cause attrition damage during sieges instantly. Next we have Leonardo de Miragliano, a master inventor and creator of the famed steam tanks. This character was listed in the 5th edition Dogs of War army book, and interestingly enough, he was not listed as a general nor a wizard, but a scientist. So it could be assumed that Leonardo could be a special legendary hero instead of a legendary lord. Obviously taking into consideration that Borgio would likely take the legendary lord slot for the city instead of Leonardo. Also, given his special items and rules in the 5th edition Dogs of War army book, they could easily be translated into Total War Warhammer. The Sphere of Alchemy was a ranged weapon that used a blast template to do its damage, which could be seen in a similar way to how Ikit Claw uses his brass orbs. His Prism of Power would act a little differently to the tabletop, where instead of removing an opponent's spell on a roll of a 4+, it could either reduce Winds of Magic reserves or slightly increase the chance of misclass. And lastly, his Compass of Meteoric Silver. This allowed him to spot which enemy had magical items, but this could be changed to allow him to have a higher chance of acquiring magical items after winning a battle. As per his special rules, Leonardo could boost the capabilities of any army that he joins, with artilleries and crossbows having increased accuracy and ammunition most likely. And finally, it would be rather interesting if he, the famed inventor of the steam tank, would use a steam tank as a mount option upon reaching a fairly high level, maybe even a unique looking proto-tank. Next we have Lucrezia Belladonna, the most beautiful woman in all of Tilea, and some claim the Warhammer world in general, but this is highly disputed. A renowned sorceress and arch-poisoner with a rather large contingent of assassins at her disposal. She has had many husbands, normally men from positions of power, but just as quickly as she wed them, so too did they mysteriously die. Obviously, people know why they don't last very long, but not many are stupid enough to question it. Her special items and rules from the 5th edition Dogs of War army book could be translated as follows. The Phial of Poison, which was originally used to cause wounds to characters before the battle officially began, could be translated into a bound spell in the form of some minor damage. The poison stiletto naturally would give her poison attacks, and lastly the potion of Pavona, which in the tabletop would allow her to increase some characteristics of either herself or any character in her army, could work as a random buff, which could also have the very slight chance to do damage to the person being buffed. As she is an expert poisoner, it could be possible that characters recruited while she is the faction leader could also have access to poison attacks, as they would act as one of her many assassins. And lastly, as she is a stunning beauty, her army would have increased leadership as her warriors fight for her attention. It could be that her armies would have dramatically increased leadership when fighting near her in an effort to impress the lady. Next we have Mythos the Mean, an infamous paymaster of unknown origins, but many suspect he is from the lands of Araby. His unwillingness to part with gold has even impressed the dwarfs, seeing his greed as that of a kindred spirit. Indeed, so powerful is his greed that it is said that he has never lost one of his famed chests of coin to the enemy. Given his special items and rules in the 5th edition Dogs of War army book, they could easily be translated into the Total War Warhammer series. His famed treasure map could allow Mythos and his armies to seek treasures across the Warhammer world in a very similar or even identical way to how the Vampire Coast seek treasures. Gaining the treasures themselves could grant temporary bonuses to the army that may find them, something along the lines of more attack damage, more defense, and so on for a limited number of turns. Mythos could also have a unique unit to his faction alone, that of the Paymaster Bodyguard, which would act as an elite halberd unit with light armor. These wouldn't be the most powerful in the roster, but a decent anti-infantry at least, possibly early or mid-tier units. Next we have Lorenzo Lupo, the Prince of Lucini and a man very proud of his ancestry. Tradition is everything, even in combat, where he wears the armor in the style of his ancestors. Just like the statues that depict the heroes of old, to fight like his ancestors is to fight with honor. Given his special items and rules in the 5th edition Dogs of War army book, they could easily be translated into the Total War Warhammer series. The Sword of Lucan would grant him magical attacks, the Ring of Lucina would work as a bound spell which would make fleeing units return to battle, and the Shield of Meridia would also stun characters temporarily. Lorenzo is well known to only fight on foot alongside his warriors, so it could be that as long as he stands with his units, he would give them increased leadership. Also, he is known to be a mighty athlete, so he could have perfect vigor in battle. And lastly we have Marco Columbo, perhaps the most famous explorer in the known Warhammer fantasy world. He wrongly takes the title of the man who discovered Lustria, but many still claim him to be the most travelled mortal man to have ever lived, which is actually true. Many suspect that there is no corner that he has not seen, no path left untravelled. Given his special items and rules in the 5th edition Dogs of War army book, they could easily be translated into Total War Warhammer. The Gem of Lustria would allow him to re-roll an armor save on the tabletop, but this could give him a bonus ward save instead. The Gourd of Lustrian Wine would act as a temporary bonus to his strength, and finally the Scroll of Araby, which would normally dispel a spell on the roll of a 2+ on the tabletop, could instead provide magic resistance. In regards to his special rules, Marco was known for his close combat and ranged combat prowess, so it could be expected that he would be a hybrid lord. Lastly, his Navigator's Telescope would allow him to find hidden units from much further away than normal. I'd also assume, since Marco is a well-known traveller, it's more than likely that this character would have an increased movement range than most. I'd say for a character of this standard who's known to travel across the world, maybe a 15% bonus to movement range than normal? An interesting way of implementing this character could be at the start of the game. The player could be given the choice of multiple possible start locations throughout the Warhammer world. This would represent his status as a famed explorer and give a rather large element of choice here. The way that this could be implemented rather well is he could start in Tilea, and straight after his first turn he could be given the choice of where to be able to move to. At this point anything could work. You could choose for him to stay in Tilea, or maybe have a start location in Lustria, maybe in the Darklands. You know, an element of choice would be good here, and provide for a large variety in terms of replayability. Now you'll notice that in this video I focused directly on the characters that were in the 5th edition army book for the Dogs of War. This is because all the characters in that book were known Tileans, so it would make sense to just get these guys instead of some other rather unknown characters. Now when we start looking towards Estalia and the Border Princes, we'll more than likely start seeing more obscure characters. And just a quick heads up here, Belladonna's city in Total War Warhammer actually belongs to Estalia instead of Tilea, whereas in established lore in Warhammer Fantasy Battles, that city did always belong to Tilea. And I don't imagine that all these characters that we've listed out will be the ones that become all the legendary lords for the Dogs of War, mainly because they'd probably want different racial representation in the Southern Realms pack. Obviously if they go with the Southern Realms pack, but this was our list from the characters of Tilea that we'd expect to be playable legendary characters. What do you guys think? Are there any other Tilean characters that we might have missed out that you feel deserve to be legendary characters? Let us know in the comments below and let's start a bit of a discussion, shall we? But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various different links to social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team. Also in the description section below is an affiliate link with Element Games, where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using our special link and also using our special code, both of which are in the description below, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. Honestly, it's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to our patrons Gibraltar LUSC and Ryan Bertsche for subscribing to us at our Fane level. Honestly, you guys are super cool. And a big thank you to our patron Edward Hewell for subscribing to us at our King level. Mate, you're super awesome. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.